Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fun and exciting intermediate math class. Today we're going to be jumping into chapter number 7. This is the second half of intermediate math. So congratulations, you made it through the first half of the course. Chapter 7 talks about probability and statistics. What's probability? What's statistics? We'll get into it more and more throughout this chapter. Today's lesson 7.1 is talking about counting. You're like, hey, I like that. I can count. So, page 250 in your book, page 250. What is counting? I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We're talking about counting kind of like in statistics and probability. So, statistics and probability means kind of the idea or the concept of how likely is something to happen. For example, how likely is it to rain tomorrow? It might rain, right? It might not rain. We don't really know, but there's a probability, there's a percentage of a chance that it might rain. Typically, weather forecasters will say there's a 20% chance or there's an 80% chance, something like that. All right, so let's look down here in our book and on the screen. So again, when we're talking about counting, we're talking about counting the total number of things that might happen, that could happen. I guess you could count on your hands. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's other like shortcuts that we can learn here. So if you look in your book, the first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about listing. What are lists? Lists are taking like items or taking things that might happen and just literally putting them in a list. Putting them, okay, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. You're listing out the possibilities that could possibly occur. All of those things, when you take all of those things that could occur, those are called outcomes. Here's the word right here on the screen. So, outcome is a possible result from an event. So, when I was talking earlier about the idea of it raining or not raining, those are outcomes. That's a result. So, the result or the outcome is, will it rain? Yes or no. So, in that case, there's two outcomes. There's yes, it will rain, no, it won't rain. Maybe you can think of another event, something that could happen. Maybe you like sports and baseball is your sport. I like watching a little bit of baseball sometimes. So, you have a batter that comes up and he goes up to the plate, and there are different outcomes that could possibly happen. He could walk. He could take 4 balls and he could walk. He could take 3 strikes and he could be out. He could hit the ball. He could hit the ball to another player and he could be out. He could hit the ball over the fence and he could get a home run. He could hit the ball into the field of play and he could get a single, double, or triple. So there's different events that could happen. There's different outcomes, different possibilities from that player, taking that at bat in a baseball game. So it's not just like, yes, it's going to rain or no, it's not going to rain. There can be multiple different things that could happen. In the book, you can kind of look down there and you can see that they have a little example. And they say you can have, like, let's say you go out to a restaurant, you could have different options for your meal. So for your salad, you could have a house salad or an Asian salad. So the waiter asks you, right, what do you want? Do you want a house salad? Do you want an Asian salad? For your entree, I don't know what kind of restaurant this is, but not really that great of a restaurant, right? Only 3 choices of menu options here, but steak, fish, or lasagna. Let me tell you, I'm going with the steak every time right there. I mean, some of you might like fish. That's fine. Lasagna, whatever. I'm going steak. So 3 options there. And then you have some sides: broccoli, peas, or green beans. I don't know what you like there. Maybe you don't like any of them. I like broccoli. Might go with some peas or green beans. I love vegetables. You think I'm weird probably, but maybe you like vegetables too. So anyways, you're at this restaurant. They don't have a lot of choices, but they do have some choices. So here's the idea here. We need to count how many different options there are. Now, you could do something like this. You could go, all right, so let's start with house, steak, broccoli. So HSB, right? Then we could go house, fish, broccoli. So house, fish, broccoli. Then we could go house, lasagna, broccoli. House, lasagna, broccoli. And we could keep doing this for every different thing. We would have to go here again. We would have to go, now this time we would go house, steak, peas. House, steak, peas. And you see what we do is we could count them. We could actually use our fingers, we could go through and we could count how many of these things are actually options for us to have. But you might be thinking, come on, there's got to be a faster way to do that, right? Like, can't we speed up this process? There are. If you look in your book on page 251, they've got like a little thing that they do. So what they do is they take like the house salad, and then they go to the 3 different options. So steak, fish, lasagna, and then each one of those has 3, right? So each one of those has broccoli, peas, or green beans. Broccoli, peas, green beans. Broccoli, peas, green beans. So you can kind of see by using that every one of these right here, every one of these salads is going to have what? Well, it's going to have 3 with steak, it's going to have 3 with fish, and it's going to have 3 with lasagna. So you could kind of look at that. Okay, there's 9 options there with the house salad. And then if you change this and you make this the Asian salad, again, you have 9 more options. So if you say, so the house and the Asian both have 9 options with them, then that would be 18 options. So that would be another way that you could do it. It still seems pretty complicated doing it that way. But, you know, that's another idea that the book gives you. You're still thinking, come on, there's got to be a better way than that, right? There's got to be something that makes a little bit more sense. Because, I mean, think about this. What if you had 5 salads? And what if you had 10 menu items? And what if you had, 8 sides? Well, all of a sudden that gets really complicated of how many different things. You can't go through and really count that many different things. It would take you just too long to do. So go ahead and look in your book on page number 251 at the bottom. We're going to read the fundamental counting principle. And the fundamental counting principle is what we're going to use here to solve this. What it says is to find the total number of outcomes, of possibilities. You multiply the possible outcomes for each event. All right, so let's go back up here and let's look at this. So we had how many possible outcomes for salads? Okay, we have 2. You can either get the house salad or you can get the Asian salad. How many possible outcomes for entrees did we have? We had 3 possible outcomes. And then how many for sides? Again, we had 3 possible outcomes for sides. So what the fundamental counting principle says is to find the total number of possible outcomes. All we need to do is multiply the possible outcomes for each event. So we have 3 events. We have 2 outcomes for the first one, 3 outcomes for the second one, 3 outcomes for the third one. So we'll multiply these together and we'll get 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. We did get 18 before, right? In the way that we did it before with the different things that we kind of put almost like a tree. I think they call it a diagram tree. That's one way that you could do it, but it's faster just to multiply them together. So the shortcut here is you don't have to list them all out. You don't have to make a tree diagram. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to multiply them together. All right, last thing that we'll look at, and then I'll let you do some of these on your own. If Michael has 5 pairs of pants, 6 shirts, and 4 ties, how many possible outfits does he have? So all you would do in this case is you would take your pants, and there are 5 pairs of pants, your shirts, and there are 6 shirts, and your ties, and you have 4 ties. Just take those and multiply them together. and you can multiply them together. Basically, 6 times 5 is going to be 30 times 4. 30 times 4 is going to be 120. So he has 120 different combinations of pants, shirts, and ties that he can wear. And that seems crazy, right? Like, man, he's only got 5 pairs of pants. He's only got 6 shirts, and he's only got 4 ties. Now, I don't know that all those are going to match, right? It might be, there might be some really awkward looking outfits that he could put on there, polka dot shirts and striped ties and things like that. So maybe they would be great for Wacky Tacky Day, but not great for, an event. But in total, he would have 120 different possible outcomes, different things that he could wear if he puts those 3 things together. Okay? All right, well, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Go ahead and make sure that you do the practice and the homework and just really work through these. These are not that difficult. It's just a multiplication problem. Sometimes you have to read the question to make sure that you're actually multiplying the right things together. Sometimes they're going to try to trick you by throwing in some extra things, so make sure you read the problem, make sure you understand what's going on, take the possible outcomes, multiply them together, and then that will give you the total number of possibilities that there are. All right? Hope you learned something there. If you missed it, slide it back, watch it again. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.